Hello Internet and welcome to this day in history for the 29th of October. Today we go back to 1929, and some of you can probably already imagine what we're going to talk about since it's October in 1929, but here we go. The last few months have not been good economically for the Western nations, especially Britain and America. After the almost impossibly good financial success of most of the 1920s, the economy had somewhat started to tank. There had been a collapse of the stock market in London in September, and the worry and panic was starting to set in on the other side of the Atlantic as well. In October of 1929, various happenings were taking place that was slowly developing into a actual recession and an actual full panic, and it all came to a head today on the 29th of October. Black Tuesday of the Wall Street crash of 1929. This was the day where more stocks were traded than would be for another 40 years, and the entire market collapsed. The entire Great Depression can, of course, not be traced back to a single event, but to a single day. Yes, this was Black Tuesday the 29th, and it had its effect, of course. It threw the entire Western world, in fact, almost the entire world, into not just a recession, but, of course, the full depression that lasted for more than a decade. In fact, it took the Second World War and the upswings of the markets after the Second World War to truly move our way out of that particular depression once again. It led directly to the rise of Hitler, as the German economy, which had otherwise actually improved in the late 1920s after the catastrophical destruction after the First World War, once again took a large dip down, and the Nazi Party, which had otherwise been held almost in abeyance after Hitler's prison sentence in the mid-1920s, suddenly catapulted itself into a position of power, and of course led to Hitler's ascension to Chancellor in early 1993. It also can be seen to have cast long traces down history. Even today, the Great Depression is what we refer to, if we have to refer to all of them. The 1970s, the 1870s, both of those were great and bad years for American and in fact Western economy, and in fact considering the fact that both the 1770s, the 1870s and the 1970s were actually bad economical periods, who is still around in 2070s. At least you need to be prepared. There seemed to be something about the 70s that just doesn't work. But yes, the Great Depression started on this day in 1929. This was the time where people literally threw themselves out buildings at their fortunes as savings collapsed basically overnight by the destruction wreaked by the falling markets, and again led to the Dust Bowls and the deaths in the Midwest and everything else that belonged to that time period. But anyway, I hope you have found this somewhat interesting. Until next time, I have been the Sage, and I wish you all a very happy day.